Hi everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts. My name is Marla. Today I am participating in the Inspired Saturdays series. This is part of a collaboration with Alicia from Call Me Crafty Al. We are going to be casing cards from each other. I am going to link her channel and a direct link to her card in the description box below. This is the card that inspired me. I absolutely love the watercoloring and I love the simple beauty of the silhouette stamp and the impact that it makes on a card. These are the products that I'm using. I'm using this tree line stamp set from Tim Holtz. It's a Stampers Anonymous stamp set. It's a red rubber stamp. I'm using that long middle piece, the tree lines. This is distressed watercolor paper from Ranger. And then I'm going to be using my Altenew water brush markers. I have both the Tropical Fiesta and the Winter Wonderland sets. I'm using 4 ink colors. I'm starting with the Mountain Mist, which is a very minty light green. I'll be using the Persian Blue, which actually is more of a purple color. Lagoon is a nice, beautiful teal green. And finally, the turquoise. I'm also going to be using these new Wonder Forest brushes. I'm using the flat brush, and I absolutely love these watercolor brushes. This is Gina K Designs Champagne Embossing Powder. I will also be bringing in a little bit of gold thread and a piece of gold cardstock, as well as some black cardstock that will be a final card of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm adding a little bit of water to my distress watercolor paper, and I'm laying down the ink. One of the things that I love about these Altenew watercolors is that you're not mixing any of a flat pan of watercolor. There's actually liquid in these pens, so you just squeeze a little bit out and you can get it as light or as dark as you want. So I started with that Mountain Mist, and then I brought in that Lagoon, which is, you can see that it's a greenish blue. And now I'm adding the turquoise, and I'm just going to blend all of these colors. The distress watercolor paper really does take a lot of water, which is really nice. So I lay down some water, I put some water on my brush, and then I spread out the color. I was finding that, see, I have that line on there. I'm going to be able to get rid of that line by using the tip of my brush. So I'm going to spread this across, and then I'm going to work out that line with the flat tip of the brush. My idea behind the watercolor here is that I have grass at the bottom, I have a lake in the background, and then the purple is the sky. I do like to dry my watercolor panels with my Ranger heat tool. That way, with watercolor, typically it will dry back, so it will be much lighter than what it looks like when it's wet. So I am taking my heat gun directly to the paper. If you didn't want the warping, so you see I do have a little bit of warping on this, there are 2 things that you could do. One, I could run this through a laminator, but I didn't think it was warped enough to warrant me doing that. The other would be for you to tape this directly down to either like a breadboard or to your surface. You would have a little bit of a border from the tape, but you could always trim that down. And I am going to be trimming down this panel anyway. So you can see that I'm adding a second layer of color. You can see the beautiful intensity that I'm getting. I love this so much more. I love the depth of color. These are really pigmented inks. If you've never tried watercoloring, I would highly recommend these brushes. They are so fun and so easy to use. So I'm going to dry this panel back one more time. And then we're going to stamp our tree line. When I do my stamping, because I am using a red rubber stamp, I am going to remove the foam that is inside my Misti. I could have put this in the corner because my stamp doesn't overhang on this card panel, but it was working fine just here uh, with the magnet. Because it's a red rubber stamp, you don't have that cling that you do with a photopolymer stamp. So it was really easy to stamp, and I was able to stamp multiple times. So I'm going to stamp this 3 times. I'm using Gina K Designs Jet Black Amalgam ink. Now, Alicia does these inspired Saturday series on a regular basis, and it's where she highlights some of the smaller channels here on YouTube. So I want to thank you, if you're here from Alicia's channel, for taking the time to come over and take a look at my channel. I want to thank Alicia as well for just providing this outlet for us YouTubers that don't have the same exposure as she does. So thank you, Alicia, for having me today. I'm excited, as I said, to see what you are creating. Now, one of the things with the Stampers Anonymous, with the Tim Holtz in particular stamps, sentiment stamps, is that he likes to mix and match fonts. But when he does that, it makes it really hard for me to line them up personally. That's just my thing. As you can see, I tried to stamp directly to my card panel, and I got it wonky. So I did end up stamping and heat embossing it onto a piece of black cardstock. I did use the VersaFine ink, as I said, and I also used the Gina K Designs champagne embossing powder, and then I cut it out using a banner die from my stash. I decided that I wanted to bring in some layers here, so I am going to cut my panel down. I'm cutting about an 1/8 inch off of each side. My final panel is going to be 3 3/4 by 5, and then I'm going to mount it onto a black piece of cardstock that's going to be about an 1/8 inch larger than the watercolored panel. I will bring in a gold piece of paper that is from American Crafts, I believe. I've had it for a very long time in my stash. I've added some 1/4 inch foam to the back of my sentiment, and I am going to adhere that directly to my panel, and that is going to be the only dimension on my card. I'm going to add some scrapbook.com 1/4 inch double-sided tape because I do have that tiny bit of warping, not too bad. When you heat it from both sides, you're able to straighten out your card a little bit more. But I'm going to add that foam tape to the back because it will keep it down on my black cardstock a little bit better. And so here I'm going to add it to my card, and then you can see that I do have that gold thread, and I'm going to wind that thread around this piece about 3 times, and then off camera I'm going to tie my bow because I did realize at this point that my fingernails get in the way when I'm tying a tiny bow with slippery thread. So I didn't want to bore you. I was on and off camera getting a little bit frustrated trying to get that tiny bow. I do tape the thread down using just some regular scotch tape to hold it in place. And I like the way that it looks. It kind of brings that gold from the paper in even more. And here I've tied the bow. Now I did leave the bow attached to the longer piece of thread because I wasn't sure how short I wanted to cut it. I wanted to put my card together, see how everything looked to decide where I wanted to cut it. I'm adding some tape runner to my gold cardstock and adhering that directly to my card panel. And as I said, this is 4¼ by 5½. I'm going to take this white piece of cardstock. Because I am using black cardstock for my base, I do need to add some white cardstock on the inside. Now, this I think makes a fantastic birthday card, masculine birthday card. I don't put my sentiments on the cards until I send them out because I like to personalize the sentiments. But I just absolutely love the look of this card. I love the watercolor feel, and I love the beauty of that silhouette stamp. Thank you, Alicia, so much for inspiring me. You have been such an inspiration to so many in the community. And for those of you, again, that came over from her channel, I want to thank you for stopping by. I'm going to have her link in the description box below. If you're a subscriber to my channel and you're not subscribed to Alicia's, please make sure that you subscribe to her channel. She is a fantastic creator. Here's one last look at my card. Thank you so much and have a fabulous day and Merry Christmas, everyone.